Hello out there, this is the AnY Pony.
And this is my channel, you know?
Ooh, sorry, force of habit.
Anyway, hello every pony, Corpulent Brony here, with some German guy.
And today we are here to talk about the weather.
Brrr, it sure is cold outside, as winter returns once more to Ponyville. First time we've seen it since Season 2, lending yet more credence to the fact that just more than a year has elapsed since the beginning of Pony.
Or probably rather more credence to the fact that the timeline in MLP is just all over the place, since May the Best Pet Win aired before Heartwarming Eve, making Thanks to the Memory actually Daishi's and Tank's second winter together. Well, at least this time around the running of the leaves actually happened before winter, unlike in Season 1.
I'm hopeful this time around we'll see some more continuity, maybe a few more winter episodes.
Yeah, that would be cool. If you know anything, no spoilers.
The wintry setting did introduce a way for the writers to handle an issue that has been bandied about lately as something the show should tackle, namely the grief and the loss of a loved one.
Admitted, this is an aspect I was interested in, especially since the hints we got about AJ's parents. Now, seeing the way they actually did approach the topic, well, maybe let's go over the execution of the concept first, since Cindy Moore did a fine job at demonstrating the 5 stages of grief through Rainbow and her reactions.
First, there's denial, which was exhibited when Dash so exuberantly denied Fluttershy's explanation that Tank was settling into a hibernation state, so far as to say the pages about tortoises were inserted into her book as a joke, or when talking to Spike, she purposefully misconstrued his no as a yes.
No! I'll take that as a yes.
What could be more obvious than that?
Next comes anger.
Who said anything about anger? I didn't say anything about anger. I'm not upset, and I am not angry. Do I look angry?
Well, looks like there's still a little bit of leftover denial there as well. However, the way Rainbow lashes out at Pinky, at the rest of her friends, and even at Tank himself in her frustration is a rather familiar presentation of that stage.
As her anger subsides, it's replaced by a need to regain control of the situation. It is at this point where Rainbow begins to enter the stage of bargaining, trying to prevent the inevitability of winter, first by sabotaging the efforts of her fellow Pegasi as they attempt to bring about the change in season, and then by attacking the weather factory itself, with disastrous consequences and, as some have pointed out, nearly no repercussions. I guess they've forgotten that, as a princess now, Twilight can give her friends immunity from prosecution. Thanks again, M.A. Larson.
Jokes aside, keep in mind we saw a lot of major destruction happening, like during Secret of My Excess, Swarm of the Century, Inspiration Manifestation, or Derpy's destruction of Town Hall, without anyone being held responsible.
Preach on, brother. I mean, how many times has this town been destroyed anyway? They must be used to it by now, right? Maybe they have a few dragon slaves in the background fixing stuff up, like little Spiky Wakey.
And now for the big one, depression. To be honest, if the presentation of any of the 5 stages in this episode didn't sit well with me, it is this one. While the wacky humor and Daishi's devil-may-care attitude during the bargaining stage was a bit silly and made me roll my eyes, the over-the-top wailing of Rainbow really bothered me. Yes, crying in this stage is more than fitting. Yes, her friends all joining in is something completely natural to a group of empathic friends to do. And yes, not caring about her image the way she usually does is also understandable.
Rainbow not caring about her image? She always dresses in style.
However, if you want to tackle such a serious topic, don't try to compensate the seriousness by over-the-top cartoonish behavior. Never ever in the show, the few comics I have read, or even the movies in which the main 6 got reduced to sophomoric high schoolers, did I have the feeling that I'm watching characters with the mentality of children. One of those things MLP gets praised for in comparison to lesser kids shows, mind you. But here, in this scene, I don't see an independent yet a bit immature mayor anymore. I see a little foal.
Well, to be fair, the over-the-top blubbering in this scene does keep it from being too depressing for the real target audience, little kids. But I've grown to accept this, just as Rainbow eventually learns to accept the fact that Tank needs his beauty sleep, going so far as to help bury him in a little hole in the ground and read a final chapter from their Daring Do book together, thus completing her journey through the 5 5 stages of grief. So that's how Cindy executed the whole tank issue. What were your thoughts on the way the show tackled this concept of dealing with loss?
Well, as I hinted earlier, I felt a bit disappointed. We have an actual group of orphaned siblings in the show, and the episode about grief is picking on not even the death of a pet, but it going into hibernation for a few months. Sure, this is more approachable and less drastic for the kids viewing, but the amount of drama and emotions they put into Rainbow's reactions to the situation was completely disproportional to the gravity of the issue at hand. I would even go this far and call her behavior out of—
Don't say that word, it'll start a flame war.
Go this far and say her behavior was breaking the norm of what we would expect from her. In addition, Cindy seemed to be a bit unsure how serious she should go about the topic. The horror that she spreads at the Rainbow Factory was more of a fun-focused slapstick firework. Then we have the depression scene that could have been really touching, but got spoiled with the over-the-top cartooniness I already talked about. Overall, it is definitively a step into the right direction and maybe only an issue of testing the water for more to come. Guess we'll have to see. Your spin on it, Corpulent?
Death has never been portrayed in the show up until this point, with the exception of a few frames seen of a funeral. As far as we know, all ponies in the show could live forever, but the call from the fandom to tackle this issue has been strong, and to have portrayed an actual death within the show would have been an extremely risky proposition. By reducing permanent death to a temporary hibernation, the show is able to tackle this subject safely with a minimum of fuss, and it seemed natural to me that Rainbow would try to prevent winter from coming. After all, she is very confident of herself and her abilities, and to perform such a Herculean meteorological task would be right up her alley. She'd be willing to do anything to prevent the loss of her pets and companion, thus having to spend the winter alone.
Yeah, this aspect could not have been presented this believable with any other of the main 6. To point once again to Drowning in Horseshoes' review of the mysterious mare duel, we got a very clear look behind Rainbow's boastful facade in that episode and saw that one of her biggest fears is indeed being alone. As the Horseshoe King put it, she is so loyal because she depends on others being loyal towards her as well. In Thanks for the Memories, this dependent side of her shows once again and fits her established character perfectly. So, wanna talk a bit about moments of the episode that stuck out to you?
Well, as Twiley put it so eloquently,
Winter is coming!
a wonderful reference to my current favorite non-animated show, Game of Thrones.
Talking about references to current TV shows, don't those hats look familiar?
Is South Park even still around? I love the reference to Abbott and Costello's classic bit, Who's on First, with the Pegasi arguing over their names.
A truly well done balancing act, keeping it entertaining without dragging it on too much. 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs and a Rainbow Dash Grinch face.
Haha, that was a priceless reference, especially since they sought to accomplish similarly impossible goals. How about Cloudsdale now being portrayed as a wandering city?
Well, you seldom see such a small detail carrying such a gigantic amount of world building. And it is not the only cloud-related amazing moment of this episode. This hilarious joke makes me even ignore all of them casually entering Rainbow's cloud house. This scene is up there with RD smashing into the glass roof in games Ponies play as one of my personal favorite comedic moments of the entire show.
Well, I guess fourth walls aren't the only walls Pinky breaks through. I loved how once again Twiley shoved AJ to the forefront in order to solve an issue, this time consoling Rainbow. For a background pony, it's good to push her to the foreground once in a while, right?
I already see the pitchforks getting sharpened. Nevertheless, we also learned that AJ has a deeply emotional side to her.
So deep, we don't even see it.
Hey yo!
Maybe this points to the fact AJ's had to deal with some heavy emotional troubles in the past. I appreciated the fact Fluttershy showed how well she learned her lesson from the Breezy's episode when she told Rainbow,
Your winter is going to be petless.
And there was the song. It was really good and it fit Rainbow.
It was decent, sometimes a bit uncomfortable to see Rainbow dancing with a sleeping turtle.
It kind of looks to me like a person dancing with a corpse.
Yeah, it does. For some reason, I'm reminded of a prophetical tweet the infamous M.A. Larson made the day prior to the episode airing, where he stated, "There's something in tomorrow's ep that I told Hasbro I'd take full responsibility for. So, in advance, it is entirely my fault. Hashtag mea culpa."
I wonder what he's referring to. Maybe when Pinky mentions the title of one of his episodes with this strange musical cue in the background?
It's about time!
Well, I thought it could mean Tank would grow wings or die or something. I was glad neither of those things occurred. What do all of you think Larson could have meant? Leave us a comment below and let us know.
We actually do know what he was referring to, but we would like to hear your guesses in case you don't already know yourself.
Thanks for taking the time out of your busy Oktoberfest schedule. It's been very wunderbar, mein Herr. Next time I'm in Berlin, we'll go toss back some Bratwurst and real German beer.
My pleasure, and thanks for having me. Looking forward to that visit. This is AnY Pony saying see you soon.
See you later, every Brony. Keterum autum cancel flash sentry esse delenda.